All right, all right. We're here. We thought we had an intro song, but I guess not, but it's okay. Greg, what's going on? Hey, Greg, I thought you were gonna be wearing a Halloween costume. What's up with
What?
this?
What? Are you a devil worshiper? Halloween? All Hallows Eve?
I'm not a
Why would I
devil
wear a
worshiper, but
costume?
I do celebrate Halloween. I like it.
No, I celebrate candy. It's not Halloween, it's Candy Day.
Candy Day? Well,
Candy Day.
wait, Greg, so are you the one passing out candy to all the kids out there? Do you pass out candy to
Of course
everyone?
not. That's my wife's job. I'm on the air with you.
What's
I
up,
do like to
everyone?
see the kids in their costumes, though. I really do.
Right.
And,
It is
our
cool.
guest tonight, our Joe tonight, had to cancel because he forgot he had children and it was just kind of a special night for him. And his wife reminded him. So I told Steve, and we were very fortunate to get a replacement.
Yeah, we
But
were.
I told Steve, look, man, family first always. But just send us a picture of you and the kid in the costume so we can see that at least. Now, I won't put it on the air because kids. I'm not going to do that, but I'll share it with you so you get to see it too.
Well, at least Steve's kids still want him to trick or treat with them. I asked my daughters, I was like, hey, I got a show, but if you guys want me to trick or treat with you, they were like, no, Dad, we don't want you to trick or treat with us. We're gonna go with our friends. So I was like, what? I was like, come on, man, I'm a
How
cool
old are
guy.
yours?
They're 13 and 9. So they're gonna go hang out with their friends. They don't want to hang out with dad anymore. So I'm
Well,
just
the
gonna let them go do
9-year-old's
their
still
thing.
human. The
Yeah,
9-year-old's
but
still human. The
she
13-year-old's probably in her monster phase.
yeah. Oh, yes. But she wants to, the young one wants to tag along with Big Sis. And I get it. I was the same way with my big cousins and big bro. I wanted to tag along with them when I could, they're friends. So I get it. But yo, look, this is Tip Major. This is the sports affiliation. We got our Hall of Famer Greg Kellogg here, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on this live stream. We finally got it figured out. We got the live stream up and ready. We are here to answer your questions, comments, anything that you have regarding fantasy football. I'm going to also post in the chat the way that you can ask questions to us. You're always more than welcome to DM myself, Greg, as long as Greg's DMs are open, which they pretty much are. And then you can also send the questions to tc_booking@yahoo.com. So you can always send our questions there. Regardless, anyway, we're going to get those questions and we're going to get them answered because at the sports affiliation, that's what we're about. We're about helping you win your leagues, and we're about helping you win not only this week, but the following weeks. And then look, playoffs are coming around really soon, guys. Just before we know it, it's going to be Thanksgiving time. Then it's going to be playoffs, and then we're going to be talking about who should we start and sit, favorable matchups, and possible trades for the next couple of weeks because trade deadlines are also coming up too. So
Are you done
send those
talking
questions.
yet? Are you
I'm
done
done. I'm
talking yet?
done. I'm done. I'm done.
Okay,
Greg.
listen. Tip and I have a special relationship. We're friends, and I called him an idiot last week, and immediately regretted it because it was about a player in the Thursday night game. I don't even remember who, but Tip was right and I was wrong. So I was last week's idiot. So I'm the reigning idiot this week.
You are the reigning idiot. You know what? We're going to go ahead and see if you're the reigning. We're going to continue your idiot crown after we answer some of these questions. You know what, Greg? Let's get into some of these questions because I got them queued up right here. Are you ready for number one? Because number one's it's a bit of a I would say a question that is relevant right now. Although the player's not relevant, the player's not playing, but it is a relevant question. He's in the news, so we're going to talk about it. So, Far Too Reckless asks, do you believe in CMC, Christian McCaffrey, will be back to himself when he returns? Or should I try to deal him for something? He said, somehow, I have one loss with a team with three picks on IR, plus Puka Nacua just returned. He said he's blessed somehow, I guess. So, yeah, definitely you're blessed with that situation. But, Greg, the question is, what are you going to do with CMC once he returns?
Well, all players should be available for the right price. Okay. But that price varies based on the player's talent, age, and situation. Mm-hmm. Now, if I'm 5-1 and about to get CMC back because there's rumors that he's practicing already, I'm 5-1 already. Why would I trade away a guy that can win you your league by himself? It's going to cost a lot to get CMC for me. Okay. I doubt that he'll be 100% when he comes back. I mean, he's been off for a long time, and there's rustiness, okay? But even with some rust, CMC at 90% is better than 95% of NFL backs at 100%. I'm probably not going to trade him at 5-1. Now, if I'm, 2-5, I don't know how you're 5-1. It's week 8.
Yeah.
Anyway, 7-1. I think he's probably 7-1.
Let's see.
It's week 9 this week.
No, he said he only has one loss. He only has one loss.
No, it says if I'm 5-1 and about to get CMC back.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm assuming he's 7-1 and about to get CMC back. But I don't trade him unless I just get an offer, that knocks my shoes off. Now, again, when you're talking about a player like CMC, another question is it a dynasty keeper league or a redraft? We don't know that. Is it PPR or straight, standard scoring? We don't know a lot about this. You have to know that yourself, Far Too Reckless. But I got to tell you, if you're 7-1 without CMC, how good are you going to be with him when he comes back? And if you're 7-1 already, you've probably got enough depth that he doesn't have to be 100% back in week 1 or week 2. You can look at him and see how he does, and then play his matchups. If he's got an easy matchup, put him in the first week. If it's a tough matchup, hold him out and wait and see if he is himself. But again, it's going to take a lot to get CMC for me if I'm sitting there leading the league already.
Well, a report came out this morning at 8:01 a.m. and the report basically asked John Lynch, so what's going on with CMC? Yes, he has ramped up his practices. Yes, they're getting him geared and ready for the season for make his debut. But John Lynch also said that there's a possibility we won't see CMC right away. So don't expect, he said, temper your expectations that we'll see CMC right away. And I've been saying this for some time now. So look, you are a CMC owner. You have Christian McCaffrey on your team. Go out there. Jordan Mason's probably already gone, most likely. Go out there and get Isaac.
Do you even want Jordan Mason right now? Garindo looked pretty damn good.
And that was going to be my point. I've been telling people to go out there. Everybody's been saying, "Oh, Tip, you're an idiot. Tip, why would you do that?" Christian McCaffrey.
Wait a minute, that's my line. Other people aren't supposed to say that.
They know what they're listening to you, Greg. They're listening to you somehow. They're listening to what you're telling them. And look, you're a Hall of Famer. I'm not. And you know what? Maybe I am an idiot, but when it comes to fantasy football, I look at all aspects of it. I take that coin, I flip it, I turn it upside down, I turn it sideways. And in this situation, this is what I'm doing with Christian McCaffrey. I'm looking at all possibilities. There might be a possibility we don't see Christian McCaffrey at all during the fantasy season, maybe in the fantasy playoffs, or maybe just in the regular season playoffs. And you know what else? I also listened to Chris Collinsworth on Sunday Night Football last week when they were playing against the Dallas Cowboys, those San Francisco 49ers. And he even said, they've got a good running game. We saw with Isaac Garindo. You just said it yourself, Greg, how good Isaac Garindo looked. And then they got Jordan Mason. The run game, to me, is solidified. Now, of course, if you have a healthy Christian McCaffrey, he is the best running back on that team. Hell, he's probably the best running back in the league. But if you got a guy in Christian McCaffrey who you just don't know about right now, Chris Collinsworth said that you could see Christian McCaffrey play more in the passing game. And I don't disagree with him because they have a couple of injuries in the passing game, or actually Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel's working his way back in. Ricky Pearsall's working his way back in. Juwan Jennings should be back after the bye.
Juwan Jennings was held out last week, too.
Yeah, Juwan Jennings should be back at the bye. So I can see a scenario where CMC, when he does get on the field, we do have to temper some of those expectations in Christian McCaffrey because, yes, he could be one of those players that gets the ball in passing situations. I don't see him running too much between the tackles with
I disagree. I think we see CMC back after the bye week. I think I'm not sure. He was on IR with the designation to return, and if they did the designation to return, they've got 21 days to put him on the active roster.
Right.
He doesn't count against the roster until 21 days. I don't know when they designated him to return. We'd have to figure that out. But my guess is Lynch is doing what GMs do. He's talking it down. He's doing coach speak. I think McCaffrey, they're not going to put him in if there's risk of further injury. They're not going to do that. That said, he's practicing. That says something to me. All right. They wouldn't be having him on the practice
field. Old
field.
School guys, you and Scott the King Angle.
They would not have him on the practice field if they didn't think he was ready to return. Now, is he ready for full contact? No, I don't think so. And when he is ready for full contact, he's not ready for full contact. It's going to take a week or 2 or 3 to knock the rust off.
4 or 5 or 6 or the regular season
so.
playoffs.
He's a superb athlete. He stayed in physical condition. It's just to get used to the hits. And frankly, I'm not so certain that running between the tackles is harder on a back than running off tackle or outside. You get some really big hits when you run outside the tackle.
That is true. You're right.
You know, you get some. You look at the Jahmyr Gibbs touchdown last week. All right. Yeah. Long run, right?
Yeah, beautiful.
He started right up the middle, made a cutback, and didn't get touched he didn't get touched, basically. But the bottom line was that was a run between the tackles. And with the lines, that's a good offensive line out in San Francisco.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, otherwise you wouldn't have the second and third back doing what they're doing. So I don't think they rush him back, but I do think he is light years better than either Mason or Garindo.
So would you try to deal? I understand you said if you do deal Christian McCaffrey, you want to make sure you get something good for it. But at this point,
is it a keeper league or not? Because if it's not a dynasty league, you're only playing for this year, right? Because you're going to redraft everything next year. If it's a dynasty league, then you got to look at his age. You got to look at what's offered. I mean, are you offered a really good young running back? Is it worth it? Would you trade Christian McCaffrey right now in a dynasty league for Jahmyr Gibbs?
Oh,
Jahmyr Gibbs is in a timeshare, but you also know Jahmyr Gibbs is a top 12 back in a timeshare. Right. And what happens if something happens to Dave Montgomery? Jahmyr Gibbs showed what he can do when Montgomery misses a game. Okay, so that would be a question I would have because of the age difference. You get more years with Gibbs in a dynasty league.
Well, let's just say that it's a redraft league, PPR, just standard redraft.
So then I'm not trading him. I'm not trading him at all. No, because he's too valuable if he comes back. And you're 7-1. He's at 5-1, but you're 7-1 right now without using him. So he could be the straw that stirs the drink in your playoffs. He really could be. So I mean, think about this. You're replacing a flex player with Christian McCaffrey in the playoffs.
Right. Yep. Now that is a good point. Now you do make a good point there, but the whole thing is we just don't know. And I just don't look. If I'm 7-1 or if I have a winning record, I just don't like to be in the dark with my superstar player, the player that I drafted number 1 overall or in the first round. So
you're going to give him to the second place team?
So well, it depends on what I do get for him. But if I get a nice package deal for him, if I get a number 2 running back and a number 2 wide receiver for him, I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I just don't know. So
think about this. Your number 2 running back and your number 2 wide receiver, you're already one lost team, right? A number 2 running back and a number 2 wide receiver might not be number 2 on your team.
On your team, yeah, right. You do need to know. The roster.
So
that is true.
You're talking about a running back that's between 13 and 24, a number 2 running back. All right, 12, 13 points a game. Mm-hmm. All right, and you're talking about 13 to 24 wide receiver. Again, 12, 13, 14 points a game. Is that worth Christian McCaffrey 25 points a game if he's healthy? One player. I'm not doing it.
That's not worth it. But if you get 2 for 1, or hell, I've seen people get 3 for 1 for Christian McCaffrey.
But that's because of if you get 2 or 3 for 1, you're cutting one or two players off your roster.
Somebody, right? You're going to have to cut somebody.
You never get 2 for 1. You never get 2 for 1.
Yeah.
You may get 2 players for 1, but you're going to cut somebody, so it's 2 for 2 always.
And see, this is another reason why Far Too Reckless. Greg, I know I was on here at the beginning of the season talking about stay away from Christian McCaffrey. I just didn't trust it. I didn't know what there was too many red flags. And this is one of the reasons why I said it. Like, stay away from. I think you were a little concerned too about him, but you still.
I thought he'd be back in week 4. I did.
You thought he would be back a little sooner. I just didn't. We didn't know, and now we're in week 8. Hell, week 9. Outside of their bye week, we still don't know.
But he's practicing now.
He is practicing. That is good. That is good news. But man, that just, and I get it. I understand. You have to be. You can't. Show your cards.
Right now, Christian McCaffrey is a play for weeks 12 through 17. Your playoffs, into season and playoffs.
And he is, and look, he's trending to be in the playoffs. So you know what? Far Too Reckless, you might want to hold on to Christian McCaffrey just because of your record right now. So yeah, I could understand. I would take that argument just because of his record to kind of.
Now, if he was 3 and 4, 3 and 5, yeah, I would trade him.
Right. But one thing I will say also is just keep monitoring the reports on Christian McCaffrey, because we saw it happen up to the last minute of that Monday night game against the Jets on week 1, where we just found out Christian McCaffrey was not going to play. Everybody was ready for him to play. Some people went and got Jordan Mason.
TJ Hawkinson.
Some people. Oh, we're going to talk about TJ Hawkinson too.
I know, but I mean, when you talk about, I wasn't expecting McCaffrey to play this week. Right. Hawkinson, I was expecting to play.
Right. Well, let's get to question number 2. Don asks. He says, "Should I hold Deontay Johnson and add Courtland Sutton?"
Okay, now this is you first.
So for me, I think that, yes, you do hold on to Deontay Johnson because, look, he's transferred over to another team. He got traded over the week. So I feel like, look, this is a situation you want to monitor. Temper your expectations, though, because now he's going to a team in Baltimore who gives you a bunch of positive game scripts. So they may not need to utilize Deontay Johnson as much as they did in Carolina. So be careful on that. But I am adding Courtland Sutton. Look, right now, Courtland Sutton, this guy, the way that he's been playing, or the way that this Denver Broncos offense has been going with Bo Nix, another player that we'll talk about shortly. Look, I like how they're utilizing their downfield options. I like how they're utilizing Courtland Sutton as well. And then look, the thing about with Deontay Johnson is Baltimore, they have their staples. They have a run game in Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson. They have a Mark Andrews who's starting to come on now. You have Zay Flowers. You got Rashad Bateman. I know JC loves hearing about Rashad Bateman. So you've got those staples on the receiving and running aspect of this team. So you gotta understand it's going to take some time for Deontay Johnson to come into this team and make an impact right away.
Not.
It's going to take some time for him to make an impact right away. Well, tell me why it's not then, Greg. Why is it not going to be? Why is he going to make an impact right away?
Why did Baltimore do this trade when they've got all those weapons? There was actually a very good video on that I saw today, and they said this is the moment that they decided to trade for Deontay Johnson. Now, first of all, they got him really cheap. Really cheap.
Yeah, they did. They did.
Okay. I don't even think they're paying his salary this year. I think that's being paid by Carolina. But it was basically a one-round trade of picks, a one-round difference. And we're not talking first to second. We're talking fifth to sixth. So it's really cheap. Here, to me, DJ is in an interesting position. His opportunities will likely decrease because he's not the number one there. All right. But his quarterback is way better, and his supporting cast should be much more of a threat, which will take defensive attention away. Yeah, I definitely want Deontay Johnson. I definitely do. Now, Courtland Sutton is more difficult. He's only owned in about 75% of sleeper leagues, so I got to believe this guy's in an 8-team league because he's not owned. Because he's currently wide receiver 41. All right. Wide receiver 41 is a flex play in a 12-team league. Just is. because you're starting 2 or 3 wide receivers. That's 36 if you're starting 3. So 41 is a top flex play. All right. Um, he's top 36 wide receiver in half of his games this year, which makes him a starter. And his quarterback is getting better every week.
Yeah, he is.
But his schedule rest of season is pretty tough. All right. So in Dynasty, I would definitely want him, but I don't play in small leagues. So if you're in an 8-team league, probably I wouldn't go get him. In a 10-team, and I certainly wouldn't drop Deontay Johnson to add him. 10-team league, I think it's borderline. 12 or more, I definitely want him on my team, but I'm not going to give up Deontay Johnson to get him. There's got to be, a backup tight end, a backup kicker, a backup defense, maybe even a backup quarterback if your starting quarterback's already been on bye and you're not in a super flex. There's a place to have both these guys on your roster. But I rank Deontay Johnson over Courtland Sutton.
Yeah, no, I definitely rank Deontay Johnson above him, but there are some unknowns that we need to find out. I think that Deontay Johnson is going to take a backseat in this offense, at least for the foreseeable future. It might start to come around.
Wait a minute. No. We're here to provide information.
Yeah.
We don't use nebulous terms. What is foreseeable future to you?
Well, I would say 3 weeks. I say give it 3 weeks.
Okay.
2 to 3 weeks.
That's fair. I think it'll take him 1 week. They're going to fill him out this week. They are going to target him. I'm betting 7 or 8 targets this week just to see what they have in him. All right. They're going to limit his routes because he's only had 3 or 4 days. And it's funny. You know the best way to get healthy in the NFL?
Get traded.
Get traded. All of a sudden, he's healthy. He was questionable last week.
Oh, these
now
guys,
he's healthy.
No, he was out last week, Greg. He was out.
Well, because he was unhealthy, supposedly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess how it happens. It was the writing was on the wall. As soon as he was out last Sunday, we knew he was getting traded. We just didn't know where.
What do we know about Deontay Johnson? He creates separation. He's one of the best in the NFL at creating separation. He gets open. Now, he's got a quarterback who's got a rifle arm, who reads defenses well, and who is accurate and can hit small windows. Deontay Johnson gives you big windows. All right? So I think this first week they're going to fill him out with a limited route tree, but they're going to target him, I'm guessing 7 or 8 times. And I think that from there, I still think Zay Flowers is the number 1 receiver in the wideouts.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah.
But he disappeared last week, so you just don't know. Game scripts change. One thing I will say about Deontay Johnson, I don't think there's a quarterback in the league who shut him down. All right? And he catches the ball. Well, I don't know if it was Flowers. I don't know if it was Flowers or Bateman that dropped that deep pass that was wide open. But one of those 2 guys dropped the ball, and that's why they have Deontay Johnson now. So I think the first week he gets a little more heavy usage. The second week they work him into the offense and maybe don't use him as much. So don't be fooled by week 1. But I think you're right. By the end of the 3rd week, we'll know what his role is.
And one other thing, too, I think that this helps Lamar Jackson in the totality of everything, because
I think it helps the other receivers.
I think you give him an extra weapon to throw to, or possibly throw to. It helps the other receivers. It really helps Mark Andrews, because that Deontay Johnson can work in the middle of the field, and that could help spring it open things for Mark Andrews. I'm really high on Mark Andrews.
Did I read that Mark Andrews has 4 touchdowns in the last 3 games?
Thank you.
I think I read that somewhere.
A lot of people were saying, should I? I'm tired of I want Likely on my team. I don't want Mark Andrews. And I was like, don't do that to yourself, please. Mark Andrews, we all knew he was coming back from the injury. I
love Likely, but Mark Andrews is special.
Oh, he is. And now he's
healthy. And he blocks. He blocks well, so he's on the field 100% of the plays.
Yep. So I think on this one, Don, we're both in agreement that yes, you should add Courtland Sutton, but you definitely need to hold on to Deontay Johnson. Greg thinks it's going to be this week that he might flash. Yeah, he might make a play or 2, but I think that weeks 2 or in the next 3 weeks, then we'll really have our answer on the Deontay Johnson. Let's go to number 3, and it's from Sports Freak. So Sports Freak wants to know Joe Flacco or Bo Nix rest of season. And you said something interesting on this one, so go ahead.
I told you, Nix has a rough rest of season schedule. He really does. He has a tough schedule. Flacco could be benched with a single bad outing. I mean, who knows what that Colts coaching staff is going to do. In a redraft league, give me Joe Cool. He's my guy. Okay. Keeper Dynasty, give me the athletic Drew Brees. All right? Because long term, Bo Nix is going to be the answer in Denver, and he's improving every week. But short term, he's got a tough rest of the season, and Flacco's got really good tools in Indy. I just think Flacco's 40 years old?
He's 39.
39 years old. So I don't see Flacco as a long-term answer. I see him as a this season answer. For this season in a redraft league, I want Flacco.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
No, I like what you said about Flacco, but I'm going Bo Nix, and it's really two things. The rushing upside and Joe Flacco in the playoffs, because you're asking rest of season on this one, Sports Freak. Rest of season, look at the playoff schedule. It's Denver, Tennessee, and the New York Giants. That is tough. Now, week 18, if you go to week 18, I don't know a lot of leagues that do, but if you go to week 18, you could, into championship week, have Jacksonville. But you made a good point too, Greg. What if Joe Flacco doesn't pan out? What if he comes in this week and lays a dud? I don't think he's going to against Minnesota. But what if he does? If he does have a situation where he strings off 2 bad games in a row, well, they might just turn back to Anthony Richardson, because the Indianapolis Colts, unlike the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Tennessee Titans, they still got a shot at this division, especially if Houston loses tonight.
So they still got it. If they go back to Anthony Richardson after 2 weeks, Steichen is done as the head coach.
Yes, and that's so. I was talking to a couple of people about that this morning. I was telling them this move that Shane Steichen did was more for his career. Like he did this move for his career.
No. Time out.
Okay.
Look at it objectively. Base it on the games that they've played. Who gives the Colts the best chance to win today?
It's Joe Flacco. 100%.
It's not even a question. It's not even a question. So I don't think he did it for his coaching job. You lose the locker room if you have a player that repeatedly does not perform and you don't replace him.
Well, if you lose the locker room, you can also potentially lose the team, then lose your job.
Well, you can, but if you're going for best chance to win, and frankly, Flacco's been in the league too long. He's not going to throw an egg. He's not going to lay an egg in the next 2 games. He's just not going to. In fact, Andy Dalton would still be starting in Carolina if it weren't for a broken thumb. Okay? I was wondering what happened to Andy Dalton, because he went from being really good, the red rifle, to being, what the hell happened type of Andy Dalton. And it was because he had a broken thumb. Correct. It's hard to grip the football when you got a broken thumb.
Yeah.
So I don't see Joe Flacco, just bombing. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I don't see. I think either one of these, you're playing with house money. You have a good situation with Joe Flacco. He's not going to run. He might run from time to time.
He's 2-1 in games that he started and finished.
Yeah, no, but I want the upside of the rushing. So Bo Nix for me gives me that upside. He actually has a little bit more favorable matchup than Joe Flacco.
I don't know. You look at his whole schedule. I looked at Sleeper, and I look at the green games and the red games, and his red games way outnumber his green games going forward.
He's got a couple of games on there with Kansas City. He's got a game on there with the Chargers
Kansas
as
City,
well.
I think is week 18.
But what I will say, Bo Nix is the only quarterback this year who has thrown for multiple touchdowns against the Chargers. We got to start talking about this Chargers defense. A lot of people are talking about it. It's a good defense. I got a question for you.
Wait a minute. Herbert finally threw for 300 yards in a hardball offense.
Yeah, right. I got a question for you. Since we're on the Indianapolis Colts, or the starting quarterback Joe Flacco now. What did you think of? So what is your? So you've been watching more football than I have. Through your course of your years. You're okay. So I'm not gonna call you old, but I just basically called you old.
I'm
So
old, I know.
what did you think of that? Right before halftime, Anthony Richardson throwing that interception. That was a bad interception, Greg. Why wouldn't they just come out
Didn't
there and
that one
say,
go kind of straight up in the air too?
"Oh, it was terrible"? Yes. Why do you think that the coaching staff, or if you put yourself in the coaching staff's shoes,
Why
why
didn't you
wouldn't
bring
you?
Flacco out in the second half?
Exactly. Why not?
Because I think that these coaches want, you got to remember Richardson is the guy, okay?
Right.
And you don't want your quarterback to think you've lost confidence in them,
Okay.
because it used to be that you would sit a quarterback for 2 or 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Packers did it with Jordan Love. They did it with Aaron Rodgers before him.
Mm-hmm.
Every team used to do that. 2 or 3 years behind the starter while you adapted to the speed of the game and the various defensive schemes. All right.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Nowadays, because they want to get the maximum they can out of these kids, they throw them to the wolves. And you get Caleb Washington, number 1 overall pick. Did he look like a number 1 overall pick this week?
You tell me. What do you think?
All right. Now, why is he still starting? Who's behind him?
Tyson Badgett.
Like I said, who's behind him? All right.
Hey, he had some good.
You got Joe Flacco, who last year bailed out Cleveland. Okay. Joe Flacco looked really good in Cleveland second half last year when Watson went down. All right. So now he's bailing out Anthony Richardson. You got the same situation in Carolina where, you get your young kid off to a rough start, and you bring in Andy Dalton. He looks like a superstar. All right. So until Dalton got hurt, he was playing well. And I think he'd still be starting if he hadn't broken that thumb.
Do you think that this move, do you think that Joe Flacco can take the Colts to the playoffs?
Oh yeah, it's a good team. And they're getting healthy. They've got a great running game. They've already got a great running game. They've got one of the best young running backs in the league in Jonathan Taylor. And they've got decent tight end and 2 really good wide receivers in Pittman and Downs. And we're going to talk about Pittman tonight. But
yeah, we are.
I would have used Downs as my put me in coach, except he's 18th already. So he's not qualified.
Yeah.
But in my league, you get points for return yardage too. And Downs gets double points because he returns punts, plus he's a receiver. And I think with Flacco there, all of a sudden, you don't know who's getting the ball. Okay? With Anthony Richardson there, it doesn't matter who's getting the ball because he can't complete the ball. Mm-hmm. You just have to stay deep so he doesn't burn you with the long ball.
Right.
That was the only thing Anthony Richardson seemed to do well, was the long bomb.
It was the long bomb.
And run. Yeah. And run.
Yeah. All right. Next question is from a guy from Detroit. So look, make sure you listen up on this one, Greg. This is a home guy for you. All right. It's from my guy C. Henry. Shout out to him. He wants to know this week, Romeo Doubs or Zay Flowers. This one's kind of easy for me, but go ahead. What do you think, Greg?
I said Flowers every week. Even with the addition of Deontay Johnson, Flowers gets more targets than Doubs does. If you go to break down Dobbs' games, the problem with Green Bay is you never know which wide receiver is going to be wide receiver 1 for the week. It can be any one of 4. It really can. And Jordan Love missed practice yesterday. I'm not sure if he practiced today or not.
I don't think so.
But he's questionable. And Dobbs might be dependent on Malik Willis. And if he is, then my money's on Flowers. So every week I start Flowers.
No, and just to correct myself, Jordan Love did return to a limited practice. But I read a report yesterday that Jordan Love said that he doesn't need to practice. And it's so funny that usually a coach does that, but he actually said himself, I don't need to practice in order to play on Sunday. So that was funny that when I saw him say that, because who are you now? I mean, I know you're the franchise guy, the franchise quarterback, But look, if the medical team doesn't clear you to play, it's a groin injury. They're going to need you for the long haul, dude. Like they could actually say, "Nah, brother, you sitting this one out." And I agree with you. I think it's Zay Flowers all the way. Although Romeo Dobbs has been coming into his own, I think he is slowly turning into
You
a
say
nice.
that, and I thought that too because I've heard other people say that.
Uh,
Go look at his game logs on Sleeper.
oh, I'm looking at it. Like
And
okay, the
what
last
did he get? What did he get? 4 targets this last week.
no, this last week he got 6. The week before
And how
that,
many did he get the week before?
the week before that he got 10. Now
And
the
then
week before that he got 4. The week before that
Yeah.
he got 4.
So
But here's
he's
the funny
up
thing.
and down on targets.
The funny thing is on the week that he got 4 targets, he got 2 touchdowns. And that's what you're going to get with these Green Bay Packers wide receivers. They're going to be up and down targets. You don't know who's going to get this target this week. Is it going to be a shootout? Is it not going to be a shootout? You just never know with this situation. So yes, again, that's why we're leaning Zay Flowers. But Romeo Dobbs has shown these last 3 weeks he's done what he needs to do, but it's very inconsistent.
I don't know. I think he had one great game. I don't think he was great last week.
Yeah. Well, okay. So this last week he had 72 yards on 3 catches. That's
So that's 10 points.
That's formidable.
That's 10 points.
Now the week before that, 8 catches, 94 yards, and then
2 touchdowns. Right.
No, and then the 2 touchdowns.
His best. That was his best game of the year.
Yeah. Yeah. Romeo Dobbs is a wide receiver 4 option for me, wide receiver 5 flex option, a guy that you fill in for bye weeks, things like that. Zay Flowers is a staple. He's got to be in your lineup.
That's what I think.
Week. Every week he's got to be in your lineup.
Now, that said, didn't Zay Flowers disappear last week?
Zay Flowers, no. Last week he had a good game. Last week he had 115 yards. The week before that, he got injured though on Monday Night Football.
Okay.
He had the ankle sprain. Yeah, we thought it was a high ankle sprain, but it was an ankle sprain. And you did bring up the Malik Willis situation because if Malik Willis, let's say Jordan Love goes out there and plays, he says I'm good to go, and then he tweaks it again because groins, any soft tissue injury, guys, they could be tricky. Those things.
And Detroit gets pressure, and Detroit brings pressure.
They do. They sure do. All right, number 5, Air. The Air up there. He says he's got these players. He needs one for his flex. He's got Deontay Johnson, who we've talked a lot about today, Travis Etienne, Tank Bigsby, Cedric Tillman, or Keon Coleman. For me, out of this group, I'm gonna go Keon Coleman. I would go Tillman, but Tillman, the Browns are playing the LA Chargers this week. Greg and I we talked about it off air. The Chargers are a nasty little defense out there. They are only allowing 13 points per game to opposing teams, guys. And they've only allowed more than one touchdown to one player. And we talked about him just a minute ago, Bo Nix. So the Chargers are a stingy little defense. I don't think that, look, I'm not here saying, because I'm a big Jameis Winston believer. I thought they should have brought him in a long time ago. But the Chargers are playing a slow, methodical game on offense. They're running the ball. They're passing the ball a little bit too, but they're playing really good defense, and they're stopping teams in the defensive side. So I'm going Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman, he has Amari Cooper there. Amari Cooper, since Keon Coleman has been there, look at his game logs. Keon Coleman is getting touchdowns. He's getting looks. Amari Cooper is taking away pressure from Keon Coleman because of the way Amari Cooper runs his routes, because of his awareness on the sidelines when he gets those contested balls, and not only that, those scramble drills, scramble drills. That is something that Amari Cooper and Josh Allen, once they build upon the chemistry that they're already building upon, once that comes into fruition, Keon Coleman is going to be a nice, solid number 2 option for you. So I'm going Keon Coleman in this one. What about you, Greg? Who did you pick?
DJ, unknown role. ETN, unknown health. Tank, unknown role. CT, tough matchup. KC, growing role with growing efficiency. I'm leaning towards Coleman, but if ETN is out.
Man, so we agree again?
If ETN is out, then I would prefer Bigsby. But because ETN is expected to play this week, then I can't go with Bigsby. But if ETN is out, I'll take Bigsby just because he'd be the only back at that point. And even with the bad game last week, he put up some numbers.
And there have been trade rumors about ETN as well, so they could be on the side of, hey, let's showcase what ETN can do. He's healthy, or at least.
But if
show teams
ETN
that
and
he's
Bigsby
healthy.
are both there,
Yeah.
I'm going with Coleman. I'm with you.
You're going with Coleman. Yeah, I agree. I think that's a good one. All right, last one. Sam needs 2 of these 4 players. He has Xavier Worthy, Rome Odunze, Xavier Leggett, and TJ Hawkinson.
There's a certain symmetry with the Worthy Leggett option to Xavier's. Okay.
Right.
We saw Caleb Williams disappear last week, and TJ was a late scratch. So if I'm sure Hawkinson is playing, I might use him over Leggett. But it would be a total gut call on game day and just how I feel about it. I'm definitely starting Worthy, and I probably would go with Leggett. But again, I might flip to Hawkinson. It just depends on how I feel.
Greg. You, of all people, told me that if a player is coming back from an ACL injury, it usually takes how many months?
18
months. So you're confident in a TJ Hawkinson coming back this week?
He's not a running back. He's not a running back. He's a he's a tight end. He's a wide receiver that plays tight end. All right.
Okay.
Am I confident? It takes a running back 18 months. It takes 9 months to recover and 9 months to gain.
So when you said that was mainly for the running back position.
That's only for the running backs.
Got you. Okay. So what do you feel about? Okay.
I haven't seen that many receivers come back from that injury. All right. I got to believe that if he can handle the inline blocking, the knee's fine. All right. He's not getting hit on the knee as often as a running back does. All right. So to me, running backs tend to make a lot. If you watch routes, you don't see crisp cuts on routes in the NFL. You see bends. You don't really, you may see a quick stop and a turnaround, but you don't see these where the guy full speed comes to complete jump stop and then cuts. You just don't see that very often in the NFL. Players tend to bend their routes, if you know what I mean.
Right.
So for Hawkinson, he's operating over the middle. All right. If he can get 6 receptions for 80 yards, 14 points. All right. So yeah, I mean, in that case, but remember, I said it's a gut call. I still might go with Leggett.
With the TJ Hawkinson thing, I automatically took him out of I understand they said he's a full go. I get it. I just want to see it first. I know that they're going against the Colts. Colts, they're a favorable matchup. I get it, but I want to see it first. So I agree with you on the Xavier's. I think it's going to be Xavier Leggett, but now Xavier Leggett popped up with a foot injury. And the Rome Odunze situation, Rome Odunze has been very inconsistent. This whole Bears offense has been inconsistent.
Quarterback's inconsistent.
Exactly. The whole offense has been inconsistent. I don't trust in the Caleb Williams or Rome Odunze right now. So I do trust in Patrick Mahomes. And Patrick Mahomes this week has going against a Tampa Bay offense. This Tampa Bay offense, Greg, in the last 3 games are giving up 3 passing touchdowns per game.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
Absolutely not. The Tampa Bay offense is not giving up 3 touchdowns.
No, the defense.
Yeah, but you said offense.
Oh, the defense. The Tampa Bay.
And
defense.
I know Mayfield hasn't thrown 3 pick sixes in the last 3
the
games.
Tampa Bay defense is giving up 3 passing touchdowns.
I agree with you.
And we saw last week, Patrick Mahomes got 2 touchdowns, an interception against the Raiders, hard-fought game. Patrick Mahomes has been dog crap the whole year, right? We understand that.
He's had one game where he's been a top 12 quarterback.
One game. This week, I think that he returns to another top 12 performance because he's
my put me in coach player tonight.
This is the situation where Patrick Mahomes gets right. And look, I'll tell you what, that Tampa Bay defense is not playing really good at all right now. It just so happens that Baker Mayfield is playing lights out and keeping them in games. Other than that, if Baker Mayfield wasn't playing as good as he is, or half as good as he is, this team would be probably bottom of the barrel along with the Carolina Panthers in this division. But I will say this, for me, it's Xavier Worthy. I think that this is a big Xavier Worthy week. The thing with the Xavier Worthy, though, is you have to temper expectations because he's not going to get a lot of targets. We talked a lot about people who get targets. We talked about Romeo Dobbs. Xavier Worthy is one of those guys who gets 5 targets. I think his season high is 6 targets so far this year. And look, that's just what he does. He's not going to be a target hog, but he gets down the field. And Patrick Mahomes will exploit that defense.
What
and
do you
so
think happens to
Worthy.
DeAndre Hopkins this week?
Say it again.
DeAndre Hopkins, what do you see from him this week?
Yeah, I see a build upon what they did last year. I think that this is a good matchup again from him. It's a good matchup for all the receivers. It's a good matchup for the running back as well. But I think for DeAndre Hopkins, I think I'm saying somewhere along the lines of 6 catches for 65 yards for him. The touchdown is iffy because you got Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce had a touchdown last week. I think that Travis Kelce could possibly have another touchdown.
That was a gift because it was National Tight End Day.
Yeah, right. But I do feel like that DeAndre Hopkins will build upon the week that he had last week. So 60, 70 yards is where I'm projecting him with about 6 catches.
I think he'll get more yards. If he gets 6 catches, I think he'll be close to 100 yards.
DeAndre Hopkins?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy. Okay, Greg. This isn't 2015, right? This is 2024.
I do. And I also know that he's got a quarterback now that he didn't have last year.
Yeah, he did. That is definitely true on that. All right. So the last part of the stream. And wait a
minute. You said you had one late question you wanted
to get in. I did have one. Hold on. Let me pull up my it's from my guy Jeans. Yep. Jeans asked. Okay. He said start 2 out of the 3. Oh, and we just talked about one of them. Nick Chubb, DJ Moore, or DeAndre Hopkins? You go first, Greg.
Hopkins and Chubb. I just don't trust Caleb Williams at all.
Hey, we got to agree again. I guess I got to agree with you. You're right. Yeah. You can't trust. You
watch Caleb Williams will go off for 560 yards and 7 touchdowns, and DJ Moore will get half of them.
Right. That's usually how it goes. But I like what I've seen out of Nick Chubb, although they did bring in Deontay Foreman a little bit last week.
No, I think that's good. Ease him back.
Right.
That was a gruesome injury. I really didn't think Chubb would ever get on an NFL field again when I saw that.
Yeah, it's a miracle that he's back. DJ Moore is going against the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals have been actually pretty good against wide receivers here as of late. So I like the Chubb call and I like the DeAndre Hopkins call, but man, it just DJ Moore has been on, like, you want to say struggle bus. He has been struggling, and this could be a week that he pops off. It could happen this week because the next couple of weeks after that, he's got another tough matchup against New England, Green Bay. Even though you could probably sneak a little bit on Green Bay, but they just got Jair
Alexander at Green Bay that plays for him.
Yeah.
So he'll be the one on DJ Moore.
My thing about DJ Moore is that type of player you can utilize him in different places in the field, and they're not doing that in Chicago. Like you can rush him, you can put him in line and in the slot. They're not doing that thing.
The reason quarterbacks always used to sit for 2 or 3 years is because complexity of offenses and defenses. Yeah. He's not ready to watch Detroit. Go get a tape.
I don't have to. I love watching that.
Go get a tape from last week's game. And watch and see. I mean, you had David Montgomery throw a touchdown pass. Mm-hmm. All right. You have all kinds of flea flickers. You have this, that, and the other. You have motions. They can do that because Jared Goff is an experienced quarterback. Mm-hmm. They couldn't do that if Hendon Hooker was starting. Okay. And Hendon Hooker's in his second year now. It's just the first year it was injured. So you've got to understand this is a rookie quarterback. He's not ready for the full NFL offense. And frankly, I don't think even Bo Nix is. Bo Nix and Drake May, to me, have been the two best rookie quarterbacks this year. I thought it would be JJ, but JJ went out with an injury.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. Let me finish.
Okay.
I think Jaden Daniels has played extremely well, but I don't think he's had the full complexity of offense. He's scoring because of his legs. Fantasy wise, he's played extremely well. NFL wise, I think Drake May and Bo Nix have been better than Jaden Daniels. You disagree?
I agree. I disagree about Drake May. I do agree with Bo Nix. Bo Nix he's shown that he could possibly put his name in the hat for Rookie of the Year, the way that he is playing right now. But it's obviously the front runner is Jaden Daniels. I look, Jaden Daniels, what he has done this year. I'm gonna go. We're gonna talk about his stats real quick. We're gonna talk about last week, 326 yards. Okay. The week before that, 269, 233, 238, 254. Like he's averaging over right around 250 yards per game.
You're looking at stats.
I'm looking at
the
stats.
Game tape.
Look at the game tape. The game tape will show you a little differently.
Well, look and see how often he goes off the first read, goes to the second read, goes to the third read. The problem is, in my mind, they've done a great job in Washington. Okay. What is Washington, 6-2 now?
6-2, yeah.
Yeah, nobody expected that from them. All right, Jaden Daniels is playing great. He is, but he's not a seasoned NFL quarterback. All right, he's a great talent, and I think in 2 or 3 years, he's going to be all pro. I mean, first team all pro. He may get it sooner because of his running if he doesn't get killed first. You know, that's the problem with running quarterbacks. You get hit. But
May will run too.
Yeah, but I mean, last week, okay, he's playing with bad ribs, and he did not play well. He hit a Hail Mary that made him a top 12 quarterback. How many Hail Marys work? You know, okay. So, but if you look at it, you take away that completion, that one pass, right? And what were his numbers like then?
I need to see a little more from Drake May.
It was a 57-yard touchdown, right?
Yeah,
57-yard. So subtract 57 from his yardage total. Subtract a touchdown from his.
Oh, you can't do
No, it's a Hail Mary, buddy. 90% of those or more are incomplete.
Yeah.
So just say that one went incomplete. All right.
I think you're bitter. I think you're bitter because you had it.
I am bitter, but I'm also realistic. He did not have a great game. He just had that one long pass that put an average game up into the great level. And it still wasn't great. He finished in 12th place in quarterbacks, which isn't bad, but it wasn't great.
Well, it was. You can say that it wasn't great. You know, both offenses they look like rookies. They did at points in that game. They look like rookies. So look,
fantasy defense is good.
It is really good. It's a great defense. Fantasy Football Monsters, our guy, along with he's with us at the Sports Affiliation, so shout out to him. He said that he agrees with you, Greg, that D-Hop will get 6 for 100. So look, we're gonna start something new. We're gonna call this the Idjit Call of the Day or of the week. So
remember what I said? If he gets 6 catches, he'll be closer to 100 than to 65.
That's fine. I say 6 catches, 65. You say 6 catches, 100.
Oh, I'm not predicting 6 catches.
Oh, what are you? Okay, well, what are you predicting?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I'm not predicting. I'm saying if he gets 6 catches, he'll have 100 yards.
He'll have
or close to it.
All right. Well, you guys can call me the Idjit then, because I don't think he's going to get close to 100 yards. I think this is a big Xavier Worthy, big Travis Kelce. I think that
3 to 4 catches. And I think I'll say he gets 5 catches and 80 yards.
5 catches, 80 yards. All right, I
Yeah.
said 6 for 65. So look, we'll see who the idiot is next week. I'm writing this one down. I didn't write last week's down, but I'm writing this one down so that way we can make sure.
That's because you were the idiot last week.
No,
clearly.
you were.
No. If I was the idiot, we'd both remember, and I don't remember it. So,
all right. So as far as the game tonight, let's get a quick prediction on tonight's game. The Texans in New York. New York's had a tough time these last few weeks, man. They, look, the Yankees lost, the Mets, the Knicks aren't doing too hot. So now, can the Jets save New York? And can they go out there and beat this Texans team? They need this win. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts is Joe Mixon is playing extremely well. But, C.J. Stroud lost his top 2 receivers. Okay, I mean, Collins is still on IR, and now Tank Diggs is on IR. Not Tank Diggs, Stephon Diggs is on IR. Yeah. So Tank Dell, my prediction is Tank Dell has a decent game, but one receiver is not going to get it done. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, and it's in New York, right?
Right.
So I'm guessing that the Jets win it, but I don't think it'll be a pretty game. This is a game that the schedulers probably had really high hopes for when they put the schedule together. Yeah. C.J. Stroud is exploding, and if Houston was healthy, I think they would beat the Jets by 20 points with Nico and Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell. With the top 2 receivers gone, I think it's a lot closer, and I think 3-point win by the Jets. But I'm telling you what, the ownership of the Jets cannot be happy with the Rodgers and the Devontae Adams.
Well, they put that on themselves. I feel like the ownership did that to themselves. And karma's what. And look, in this situation, they're 0-3 since they got.
What is karma?
Oh, it's a biatch.
Okay.
So look, and since Robert Saleh has been gone, they have not won a game.
Well, he wasn't the problem.
He was not the problem. Thank you.
He wasn't the solution. Don't get me wrong. He wasn't the solution.
He definitely wasn't
the
the problem.
Coaching staff needs to be revamped.
And
I can tell you what, the Detroit coaching staff could take these same players and have a winning team.
Oh, I don't disagree with that.
I think Detroit has the best offensive coordinator in football.
I don't disagree with that, Greg.
Okay. I think Aaron Glenn is a much better defensive coordinator than we thought he was.
Uh-huh.
They're a much improved defense, even though they're still weak on the back end.
Right.
But 4 turnovers last week. They did pretty good on that defense.
Aaron Glenn deserves consideration for, I don't know if there's an award out there for coordinator of the year or whatever.
Dave Phipp had 3 70-plus yard returns in that game, 72 a kickoff return. I don't know how long the first punt return for Khalif Raymond was, 70, 75 yards. And then he had a 90-yarder for a touchdown. All right? What coaching staff is better? But my point is that you take Detroit's coaching staff, they're going to get rid of some of these players because these players don't have the grit, which is Detroit's favorite word, the grit required to play for Campbell. And they would have gotten rid of some of that offensive line. I know that.
So you're taking the Jets in a low-scoring game.
3 points, but I don't feel good about it because I like Tank Dell. I think he's a good receiver. I just think you got to have a second receiver, and I don't know who it's going to be.
Yeah, it's going to be Mitchie. It's going to be Robert Woods. It's going to be Hutchinson. I think Hutchinson has already.
Xavier Hutchinson might be it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's already been there, and he really hasn't. He hasn't really done much.
He's raw.
Yeah, Nico Collins has been out for a couple of weeks now. So Xavier
Hutchinson has had his chance. In 2 or 3 weeks.
Right. Xavier Hutchinson has had his chance, and he really hasn't flashed. I think, what about Dalton Schultz? I really like Dalton Schultz this week.
Yeah, I think
Scott just said it, yeah.
Schultz is a good tight end, but I think you need 2 or 3 wide receivers to compete at the top level.
Absolutely,
And,
yeah.
and I think one isn't enough. And
And
Dalton Schultz, you can replace one wide receiver with two tight ends.
mhm.
So like Baltimore doesn't really have a superstar wide receiver. I like Zay Flowers. I think Bateman's okay, but neither one of them is a superstar. I think Deontay Johnson could be. All right. But you take a team like Minnesota, they've got two superstar wide receivers. Jordan Addison is really good, and Justin Jefferson's the best in the game.
Yeah.
So, Nico Collins is a very, very good wide receiver.
He's amazing.
And when he comes back, CJ Stroud's not going to miss a beat. But CJ Stroud right now doesn't have a lot of help.
Yeah.
And
I think Joe Mixon is in for a big workload today. The Jets are tough against the run, but here's one stat that I looked at that I've been watching for the last couple of weeks really closely. The Texans are averaging 3 passing touchdowns to the opposing offenses, and when they're away from Houston. So it's an away game. I'm pretty sure Aaron Rodgers knows that.
He ain't getting 3. He ain't getting 3.
They need to get Devontae Adams going. Garrett Wilson's been doing really well, even with Devontae Adams coming over here, and we knew that it could go that way. We thought that, hey, Garrett Wilson learning from Devontae Adams, getting on the same page with Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams need to get on the same page. I think that this is a game where they try to exploit that Texans defense, especially when they're at home, the Jets. So I do feel like that this could be a game that the Jets win. They really, really, really need this game to salvage their season. Otherwise, they're done. They are done.
Scott Gearhart's Gamers Dome is picking them by 6. Not the Jets.
He's got the Texans. And you know what? I don't hate that, but I just think that this is a game where the Texans might get caught off guard.
I got a question for you. This will be our idiot question of the day. Let's forget the other one. Let's go with this one. Who gets more total yards, Breece Hall or Joe Mixon?
Joe Mixon.
All right, I'm going Mixon too, so we'll go back to the old one. You got the other one written down. We'll stick with that because we both agree. I think Mixon does too.
Yeah, Mixon. It is funny. Spoiler alert.
Breece is getting used in the passing game now, though.
But we're gonna talk about Breece Hall in this at the Thursday checkdown.
Yeah.
So you guys are in for that. Yeah, we'll be there in less than an hour now. And look, I'm gonna put a post out there, but you guys need to tune in because there's gonna be some things said about Breece Hall. So really more about the Texans, but it's going to be said about Breece Hall. But
somebody who shall renamed Tipless, has selected Mr. Hall as his stud to sit. So that's all I'm going to tell you about that. You got to tune in at 6 p.m., 7 p.m. Eastern.
Yep.
And actually 7:15. 7:15 is when we do the studs to sit. So 7:15, you'll get to hear why Breece Hall should sit.
Oh yeah, 100%. But look, Greg, go get yourself a Halloween costume, please, for the show. I want to see you with
this isn't I shaved for the show. Are you kidding me? I look 20 years younger than I did last week. So, because there's no gray, you don't see any gray anymore.
Yeah, well, you see some gray on me. I
know. I see it there. You're
gray and pretty,
scraggly looking, actually.
Whatever, but yeah. So anyway, tune in 56 minutes. We will be live the Thursday checkdown. Look out for our.
Hey, we got some guests tonight.
Yeah, we got Rick Bruce Willis. He's coming in.
Bruce
Willis. Okay, my bad. I just remember you saying Bruce Willis, so I was like, oh yeah, Bruce Willis. And then we also
that's right. That is how he pronounced it.
Yeah, and then we have Josh Kimmel coming on as well.
So Rick and Josh have worked together before too. So cool.
Oh, they have? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they know each other. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So that'll be perfect. So it'll be really cool to see that happen as well.
Hey,
so
you know who we got coming next week?
Who is it next week?
I think it's Scott.
Is
the
Scott
Gamer Stone. I think Scott is our pro next week. I have to go
Oh
check,
no.
go check the bottom of the show sheet, but I think it's Scott.
Let me double check it real quick here.
Scott, you can answer.
Well, you know what? We'll have that for you guys on the Thursday
I know
check
he's
down.
coming up soon, but I think it's next week. Yeah.
I don't remember seeing his name, but that not for this week or
Not
next
this
week.
week.
I'm
Next
sorry,
week.
next week. Excuse me. But we'll
I
take a
could
look.
be wrong, but I think it is.
Let's see. But anyway, hey guys, come tune in 55 minutes. We'll be on the Thursday check down, and we can't wait. We're excited for it, man. This is going to be fun. Look, Scott said he needs to check his own calendar. But anyway, look, this has been fun.
Nope, I got it right here. Join us next week when our guests are Scott Gearhart, aka the Gamer Dome, and Scott Tabatsnik. We got two
Oh,
Scotts
that's
next
okay.
week.
So that's what. Okay, so I saw the Tabachnik. I saw his name. And
You
is
just
that
didn't
how you
read
say
the
his
whole
last name?
thing.
Is that how you say his last name, Tabachnik?
I don't know. I'm
We
guessing.
need to find that one out because we'll find that out. But yo, again, 54 minutes. Tune in. Sports affiliation. Peace out. Greg, go get your Halloween costume.
Bye.
Bye.